Hey there, everybody. So I'm going to talk about this new technology that you might have heard of. It's called AI, and how it basically impacted us as a business. My name is Tomislav. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I'm the CEO and founder of Productive. Productive is a software SaaS product that helps companies make many two things: to make them more profitable and more organized. What we do, we help the people in those companies plan their resources, which are people, plan the work that those people are doing, and plan everything related to the money. I've been working in tech for 20 years. This is when I was young and handsome. And the last 12 months were probably the most complicated period in my whole career, I would say. It was 4 years since I left my kind of previous job where I was running a big agency and went all in on working at Productive. And in those 4 years, we grew about 6 times in revenue with like minimal churn. So that was going really well. It wasn't easy. Everybody was like working a lot. We were, building out the product, building out everything, the whole organization. It was like a really intense, interesting, fun, but also hard period. And our competition, as you might have guessed, are like huge companies with thousands of employees, global, US. We're all here in Croatia and Serbia. All these competitors are worth billions. They're like have a bunch of funding, and this is who we're going up against. Then we were like, what do we have? Like how do we look at this fighting with these huge companies? Well, I think that we have a very capable, very motivated team, and one of the main things is we're not afraid to go in a fight. We're not afraid to fight with somebody who's like maybe 100 times bigger than us. And when I was younger, I would like look at all these big competitors. I was like, oh, we can never go against them. We can never win. And then when I got older, I just figured this is awesome. Like they have this huge market. That's why they're big, and we can steal from them. And this became, like a motivation for me over time. Today, we're still bootstrapped. We're a bootstrap business. We have over 40,000 users. We're growing about 50% year over year, and our main markets are UK, US, Netherlands. So those kind of like Western, let's say, countries. So in short, we built like a successful global product business from the Balkans. And then AI came up. And, as I think, it's been like the motif today a lot. AI has thoroughly changed the business of software. Mainly, some of the reasons are like the marginal cost of code is dropping. So this is like a chart showing the number of GitHub code commits over time. And you can just see it. It's more code, more code. The models themselves also in the last 6 months, 6 to 9 months, have become very, very smart. Before they were like okay-ish, and now they're like really, really good. You can see that on each time they launch a new model, the foundation labs. But despite revenues growing, traditional software company stocks are dropping. So this is like this Monday, and the blue stuff is revenue, and the red is stock valuation, which kind of, doesn't make sense from a traditional business perspective. It only makes sense if you think that this is all going to disappear, and a lot of people do. If you ever open up LinkedIn or X in the last couple of months, every other post is this is dead, and this is dead, and everybody's dead, and everything is dead, and it's all catastrophizing, and you're reading this. It's psychological. It's also kind of an interesting situation. And this is me, and I'm thinking around this is how I look when I think. So I'm sitting around and thinking about all of this. And is AI for us as a business a risk, or is it an opportunity? Because it's kind of like this almost alien technology that showed up, and we're looking at it and we're thinking, we have a bunch of data. Like our whole product is just a bunch of data that people input and manage, and kind of in there we have a bunch of data in one place. We have a capable and motivated team. We have customers, and it's not like we've never seen this kind of catastrophizing before. So this is 2010, Wired, which was, it's a newspaper. I don't know if you remember those. You kind of take it in your hand and you read it. The web is dead. I think they were trying to say that, that everything's going to move to like apps. Then 2014, again, the web is dying now. Some other thing is killing it. And then the other thing is also, all of this is very early. I'm sure you all seen this like chart, which kind of the percentage of people in the world that are actually using AI, and the green ones are like just chatting, the yellow ones are paying for it, So it's very early. That's what I'm trying to say. And nobody actually knows how all of this is going to play out. Like whatever you read on the internet, nobody really knows. So our reasoning was this is an opportunity. But to harness this opportunity, we have to figure out how to become an AI company, basically. And we just decided to change. We said, okay, we're going to change from a pure SaaS business to an AI business. What does that mean? We'll figure it out. And that's when we launched the new version of the product. We launched, I think, 10 days ago. It's called Productive 5.0. And it's basically a whole reimagining of the product, a new evolution of the platform on the kind of the same philosophy, projects, finances, planning, all in one place, but now using AI to save people time, to get all that stupid work that they don't actually want to do out of the way. And in a sense, we have a feeling like we're at the beginning. It's like we're back in startup mode. It's like when there was 5 of us in a room, this is the feeling that we had there. So basically I felt like a 40-year-old guy with a startup, which is kind of like, maybe not what I wanted, but it is what it is. But yeah, so what do we have to figure out to get into this process? 2 main things. So the first one is, how do we build the future product, the product of the future? And what is that product, right? So the first part, like how do we build the product? It's kind of like you have to change internally. Internally, what we've seen is engineering has getting the most leverage from AI. Engineering as in what's the coding. But getting to that like AI-enabled software delivery model isn't straightforward at all. And if you like talk to people and you're reading what's happening, like yeah, sure, you can just vibe code. Like anybody can vibe code anything right now, and like isn't that it? Like can't you just vibe code stuff? And no, yes and no. I mean, building and supporting like a large production grade software that's secure, that's high quality, it still requires engineering work. It's just a different type of engineering work. You can do more, but it's just different. And engineering work has mostly moved from people typing code to telling coding agents what to do, but it's still the same type of work. And it has a big impact on the people actually doing this work. Like if you imagine people who were software engineers, they went to school for it. They maybe been doing it for 20 years of their life. It's their identity. I'm a programmer, but you're kind of less and less a programmer in the sense that you're writing code. You're more talking to agents, orchestrating agents. You're writing specs. You're reviewing specs. You're reviewing AI code. Like your whole job changed in a month or something like that. So it is complicated for people to kind of go through that process, but it is important for them to go through it. And the whole process felt a little bit like converting people to a new religion, because in the beginning everybody's no, 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 and then you kind of one person gets it, and then they start evangelizing it to other people, and then to other people, and to other people, and that's basically the feeling that we had in the beginning. But once we figured out how to do it, once we figured out how to do agentic coding at scale, we did in fact become a lot faster. And we started getting these like big productivity gains, something that took a month, now takes a week or stuff like that. But then other bottlenecks start showing up. Because in the beginning, in the past, you would have people, programmer would write code. Now a programmer talks to a bunch of different agents that write code. The result of that is you get more code. You get much, much more code. And now you have to still review that code and integrate it, and that whole process becomes a bottleneck. And if you don't do it, you risk of shipping technical debt and crap in your platform, which is not what you want to do. So figuring that out has also been a challenge, and it's a challenge that we're still working on. Then the other bigger problem that actually shows up in this process is, what should we be doing, right? Because now you can build almost anything quicker, but what should you build just anything? No, you have to have a good strategy, but then the whole pressure moves to that part of the organization. So basically engineering kind of starts squeezing product management and design. So before, a product manager would scope out a feature and it took them, whatever, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And now, if we can deliver that in like 5 days, then the product manager needs to scope out another thing. So it's just, you need more capability in that area now. But on the flip side, another opportunity showed up. Because now you don't have to be so technical to deliver code. So now non-engineering people can develop and ship features in production. That means a designer, a product manager can go in and just build a feature that they like. That's at least what it sounded like in the beginning. And we tried with this. We thought, let's see what happens if PMs wipe code. Not really. It's really good. It turned out really good for prototyping, for shipping smaller features. It works really well. So, any type of like move this there in the product, develop a smaller product, that's good. Anything more serious, better let people who are engineers do it. Because we had a bunch of situations where PMs would, deliver something, and then have to just go back in the whole process and everything. And what we've learned out of this is you need to figure out which features are a good fit for people to vibe code and which are not, basically. That's kind of the moral of the story. But yeah, this whole holy trifecta you had in the teams with like an engineer, a product manager, and designer is changing a little bit. The roles are getting more blended because product managers can ship code, designers can also ship, and also engineers should be more product minded and move a little bit more to the product. And depending on who you ask, people say this is all going to fold into one role. I don't believe that. I think something like this might happen, but these people still they're usually people with completely different sensibilities. They think about things differently, and yeah, sure, if you can find 100 people that are like this, that's great, but there's not 100 people that are like this, all of them in one single person. And they all want to do the same job also. But yeah, in terms of productivity gains, we got about, in certain situations with certain people, we got huge productivity gains. Maybe 5 to 8% on, 5 to 8x on certain things. But those were people that were crunching like crazy in very specific scenarios. And this is not what we expect across the board. So we didn't go out to the company and say, okay, now we expect everybody, 8x productivity. This is not what we think is achievable. We went out, we did set expectation, we said 2x productivity over 6 months. This is what we think is achievable at the scale that we're operating at. And some people were cool, some people were, I'm not sure, but anyway, the expectation was set and we think it was realistic. And in terms of hiring, we've slowed down hiring because we still need more people, but it didn't make sense, hire more people when the existing people should be 2x faster in the next 6 months. So we were like, okay, let's figure this out and then ramp up hiring, and that's basically what we did. And there is upskilling involved. This is not just give people whatever, Claude Code, Codex, and all of your problems are solved. People need to adapt to this new future in engineering, but also in all other disciplines. RevOps. So yeah, a realistic end goal for me is not to have 10 people and lay off everybody else and have them all 100x faster. It is to have 100 people that are 10x faster, because that's what I think is realistic. Also, all of this unlocked a bunch of new initiatives inside the company, stuff we couldn't do before that we can do now. We're a bootstrap company, so you're always starved for resources. There's always stuff that you're purposefully not doing, basically because something else is more important. Now you can pick up all of that work, and there's a ton of that work. We started a new initiative called Zero Bugs. Basically, all software has bugs. But I don't think in this new future all software should have bugs, because you can basically fix, I think around 70% of bugs now get fixed basically automatically by our coding harness, let's call it like that. More polishing, like before, the last 10% that you never quite polish out of a product. Basically, another thing that we're like, okay, this is possible now. We can make things better and more polished. Also, performance increases. So this is probably the only chart here on the stage that's good that is going down. It's the average response time of our infrastructure, basically servers. And when we started working on this from an agentic perspective, I think it fell down about three times, meaning it was 3 times faster. So that was kind of like, how do we build the product? But then the other question, which is more important, is what is the product? What's the product in the new future? And I think all SaaS companies face 3 main competitive pressures today. The first one is everybody can build an app problem. That everybody can take one of these large language models and build something that is useful. And if you open up LinkedIn in the last couple of months, there's a bunch of these posts where people are like, we've canceled all our SaaS subscriptions, now we're doing everything, we're building everything internally, etc., etc. Sure, you see it. Now the counter argument there is also, but then why are all these huge labs becoming big buyers of Salesforce? Why is OpenAI, Anthropic, I think Salesforce is the biggest customer, something like that. This is from Tomislav SaaS group. Shout out to Dirk if he's here. I mean, this is not a new problem. Like the buy versus build problem is kind of been around forever, but AI has changed the economics of it. It's becoming more cheaper to build. So if everybody can build software now, and this was kind of our reasoning around it, like if everybody can build software, and building software is so makes you can do it faster and better and everything, well, that just means that we can do it faster and better, and we know how to build software again. So, we went in building stuff that we would never build before. So this is a new product we launched as part of this new version of the platform, note-taker product, which in the past we wouldn't probably do because it would take too much work, and et cetera, et cetera. With the new kind of capabilities, we can kind of do stuff like this and launch a whole new product that's, again, a huge category of software in general. The other kind of argument here is customization, personalization, whatever you call it. It's people generally like tools that are tailored to them, that kind of work the way that they work. And it's always been a point of friction in SaaS because everybody wants it. They want like the 80% standard, best practices, but 20% I want it really to fit my way I'm doing it. And the other problem is that most customers don't use all of your features, right? So it's kind of, it shows up there as a problem, as a bloat in your platform. And the other thing is also vibe coding is actually very fun. So if you've it's kind of like this new, I would even say a little bit like a self-expression thing happening with vibe coding, where people are building their own stuff and it feels good, right? And people are like being up till 4 a.m. You've seen a bunch of these memes, I'm sure. This is also kind of driving people towards that direction. So my point here is that I think SaaS will have to become more customizable in the future. It's going to have to be more flexible because people are going to expect that, and because this is all pushing them in that direction. The other point I'm also trying to make is to be able to also kind of counteract this trend is you need to build defensible features. So features that kind of reinforce your value as a platform. I'm not going to go into that, but like the things like proprietary data, infrastructure that non-tech people wouldn't want to build, things that require compliance, anything related to payments. Nobody's going to byte code anything related to payments. Plug-in ecosystem, et cetera. And I think it's the question at the end of the day is like, you think about it, like, do you sew your own clothes? I don't know, like, would you do it if it was cheap enough, if like clothes was more expensive, if it was cheap enough? At the end of the day, people still don't sew their own clothes today, and they still go to restaurants. The second kind of competitive problem, whatever it is, pressure, is that SaaS will get replaced by agents. So traditional SaaS worked as like a system of record. You put in data, the software then has the data and the workflows, and the interface is like you're clicking around things like forms, fields, buttons, etc. With agentic software, you have this concept of an agent, which is the software doing the actual work. So in the past, a sales rep kind of enters the stuff in the CRM but has to write the email. Now the agentic software writes the email for them. And the attractive part is the interface. It's natural language, so you're kind of talking to it like the most natural, I would say, interface a human has. So, but my point here is also that UI, the interface kind of was never the product. Everything behind the interface was the product. We just changed the product from clicking and buttons and filling out forms to talking to software. But the product is still the same in the background. And our kind of way that we've handled this, as from a defensibility perspective, is we built our own agentic product. So we built various different functionalities. We wanted like an AI assistant that can do basically anything the person can do in the software, but with natural language. We built a whole custom agents platform inside the product where people can build their own agents that are completely autonomous, completely customizable, so they're not like hard-coded, and can talk to them in the app, in Slack, and everything else. And one thing we did realize in this whole process is we were kind of changing what we are actually building, is that building agentic software is very different from building your traditional software with buttons. The main difference, I would say, is like the whole non-deterministic nature of it. And you have it like in two different levels. So the first is, on the input level, so people are non-deterministic. You don't know what your users are going to type in the interface, right? They type anything, and like, you should see these prompts, like some are like 2 words, some are like huge paragraphs. Whatever people, it's on their minds, they just blur it out to the software. And then the non-deterministic part is the actual LLM. For the same inputs, it's going to give you different outputs. There's never going to be 100% the same. And you have to learn how to work with that, the different models of kind of developing the software. And it is a change for the organization and for the people, for basically anybody. Like even in the sales stage, like before you could, I don't know, when you're demoing the software, you click around and you show it to people. Now you type something and then you kind of wait, and the customer waits until the thing finishes the job. It's very anticlimactic. But yeah, like the conversations that we have these days are like, does this feel all right, the way that it's talking to me? Is the tone of voice, is the agent too lazy? It's less predictability, it's more like vibe-based. And I think, the main question that hasn't actually played out is in the whole industry is like, what's going to be a commodity or more replaceable? Is it going to be the system of record or the agents, right? And yeah, I think we're still very early in that discussion. And then kind of the third competitive pressure is that the LLMs, the whatever you call them, foundation labs, are moving into the application layer. And this is kind of the new, like 15 years ago you had the question, what if Google builds your startup or your SaaS? This is kind of the modern version of that. And when we entered it, we were thinking a lot about this. And I think everybody, what we're seeing in the industry is like, how do you approach your connectivity to these products? So basically, do you offer an MCP server or not? If you don't offer an MCP server so that any LLM can connect to your product, you're potentially pissing off users because they want to work in whatever they're using, Cloud Code or something else, and you're risking potential churn. But if you do provide access, that basically means that people can stop just logging into your product and just doing it somewhere else. And that kind of, you become like this dumb pipe, this like headless software that's somewhere in the background, infrastructure, plumbing. And what does that mean? Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. And I think most products are going into the MCP server, but not all of them, I can tell you. So yeah, we became more cognizant that our competitors are changing. Before, our competitors were other PSM, project management software, and after it's more these LLM providers. So the way we addressed it, we basically built an MCP server, allows people to go headless with our platform, but we also built MCP clients. So now you can connect other services to us and pull in data from other services directly into our platform. And now we're just going to see what works and how. A couple other interesting things I think we learned along the way. One of the side effects of AI, which isn't totally clear, it wasn't clear at the beginning, is radical transparency. So if you hook up all of this knowledge, all of this intelligence, you can just go and type into your agent, who's the best person in the company, who's working the most, who's working the less. Well, you can ask it anything. And it's kind of weird. It's a little bit scary, right? So also a little bit surveillance-y. But it is, like all of that data is in there. And if you're kind of putting it in there, you get this transparency movement, whether you like it or not. The other also kind of interesting thing is that the agents are in many ways similar to people. Not in the creepy way, but like in the way that you kind of solve problems with them. So basically any problems you have with AI are similar to problems you have with people. So for example, you're trying, like if the AI isn't doing imagine you hired a junior person in your company, you told them just go do something. You didn't explain how do you do it, these are our processes, this is everything, and it's like, what quality of output would you expect in that scenario? Probably not really good. But what people very commonly do is they just open up a thing, whatever, Claude, and just type like one sentence and yeah, it's not working, this is shit, this technology is not good. I think a lot of people that have frustration with AI is just they aren't able to describe what they want. And people who are really good at this are actually kind of thriving in this new future. So yeah, this whole thing is it's a process. It's still a process. It's ongoing. Like I said, we launched the new version of the product maybe 10 days ago. And I think, there's this whole debate about can AI replace people or not and what's going to happen there. I think AI can obviously replace people in a sense that it replaces something that people did. So people need to do something else. They need to figure it out. The company needs to help figure it out. But with AI, I see this huge opportunity where we can do more and we can actually do better work. And, I was at this presentation, our VP of engineering, it's a room full of engineers, all of our engineers, it's like an all hands, and he was like, coding agents can now code better than most of you. And everyone was like, what? But that means, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what we're going to do about it. And I think a lot of leaders are either kind of tippy-toeing around the fact and kind of not being direct with their team, like this is the new future, or they're like firing 20% of their team and just making everything toxic and thinking that that's going to solve the problems, which I don't think it will. So I think the job of the company is to help people through this transition and figure it out, but the people also need, employees need to be willing to learn and adapt to this new future. There's got to be some consensus there. And I don't think the current state of the industry is psychologically great. I think there's a lot of, employees are worried about getting replaced by AI. And then, I think the executives, the leaders are scared. Their business is getting eaten up by AI. So everybody's just freaked out on both sides. There's a lot of anxiety in the air, and I personally don't like it. I don't think it's a good position to be in for anyone to do their best work, right? How can you stay normal? That's at least was my kind of process through all this. I was like, I can't read this anymore on how everything is dying. Doesn't make sense. And we all need to just chill the fuck out. This is too intense. Thank you. Yeah, if you just read how everything is dying, you'll drive yourself crazy, and I think nobody wants that. But also, if you don't do anything, if you bury your head in the sand like an ostrich, you'll get disrupted. So you have to do it. Also, fun fact: ostriches actually don't bury their heads in the sand. This is a myth, and they can actually run really fast and can even kick lions. So yeah, work hard, solve problems for your customers with this whole new tech, and I think everything else will figure itself out. This is not an AI photo, actually. Thank you very much.
Hi, Tom. With all this AI stuff that you added into your product, so regarding the tokens and everything, whatever, so do you do putting your own key, or you have it inside, bundled inside the licenses that your customers pay?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I didn't have any time to go into the topic of monetization and this whole token economy, which is also very weird right now because a lot of this stuff is very expensive. It's obvious that it has to go to a usage-based pricing model, like you're already paying for some of the other stuff. And it's just a matter of figuring out the actual pricing model. Is it bundled, or is it a credit system, or is it a separate product, main product, etc., etc. We don't offer a bring your own model. We've talked about it. Not sure. There's some pros and cons to that approach. I think the pro is that kind of people can bring their own models, but the con is then if it doesn't work well, it's kind of it's on the customer, on the user's fault because they put in maybe a less capable model, but they would perceive it as the platform's problem, right? But there are obviously upsides and downsides, yeah. We're also very early in this, even in the whole monetization aspect of it, so. All right, thanks very much.